Hi there makers, it is Jo here from Minerva, and today I've got a little bit more detail on using cover stitch machines, and I'm thinking today about using the decorative stitches. Not all cover stitch machines have decorative stitch features. If you've got quite a basic one, you'll have a 1 needle chain stitch and a 2 needle cover stitch for hems, but the higher and more expensive the cover stitch machine, the more options you'll have for decorative stitching. I'm not going to particularly show you all of the decorative stitches from the Primo Baby Lock machine, but what I want to show you is where you can put decorative stitches and how you can get at that piece of fabric and get your fabric in and out of the machine. Today I'm wearing a Billy sweatshirt from Tilly and the Buttons. I've used a decorative stitch across the shoulders, around the neckline, and I've put some of the top together on the cover stitch machine, and I've also used an overlocker to put my other seams together. I wanted to think about what threads I was going to use to get that decorative finish, and I want to show you a few other places you can put decorative stitching. First of all, what is a cover stitch machine? Well, a cover stitch machine is predominantly for hemming and especially for knits. It gives you 2 or 3 layers of top stitching on the right side, and it will give you a covered stitch on the back. So one looper will cover over the raw edge of your fabric. A cover stitch machine doesn't really do anything any different that you can do on your normal sewing machine. It's just faster and quicker, and you can keep your machine all set up. You can use different threads on here so that your loop at the back is more filled in and more decorative, or you can have the decorative cover stitch on the right side. It's different to an overlocker because there's no blade. You've got more footbed space to put your work in different positions. You're not just working on the raw edge. It gives a very stretchy seam, so if you're working with activewear, dance wear, gym wear, or any kind of stretchy fabrics, it will make your hem super stretchy so it won't pop when you put it over your head with an item that has negative ease. You can use your cover stitch so that the decorative stitch is on the right side. So here on the shoulder seams, these have been actually attached together with the twin needle on the back. It's got 3 needles. This one also has additional threads, so on the Primo I can have different styles of stitching. So this one had the wipers in action with 2 different colours coming through each of the loops, but I'll show you how to add seams together, and I've also done it down the side seams. Here I make a layered seam. The key to a layered seam is to know your seam allowance, so I've drawn mine on so you can see it. It's 1.5 centimetres. You're going to fold back one of your seam allowances so that it is on top of the other one. So it's like having your seams together like this, but one stays flat and one is folded back. You can press this one back, it really helps to get everything in position. And pin everything down. You notice I'm pinning from the reverse because I'm going to sew from the reverse so that the straight stitch lines are on the inside, but the decorative cover stitch is on the outside. I've got 3 needles in, so I'm going to have 3 rows of stitching on this side and a nice wide cover stitch on the right side. I've chained off because I'm not sewing in a circle, I'm sewing from, say, an underarm to the hem. And I'm using the foot to eyeball with that seam allowance line that I have there. You want to make sure that it's even. It is best to press it. From the right side, you'll have the stitching on the outside. Everything lays really nice and flat, so it's really good if you've got a thicker fabric, and it does reduce the bulk and thickness of the seams. It will make putting in the sleeve easier because everything is nice and flat on the top. That's how I sewed the side seams of this top. and the same for the shoulder seams. If you have sewn the shoulder seams, once you sew down the side seams, you'll then need to get the cover machine out because it will be marooned in this arm size hole here. This will be joined, underneath will be joined, and your foot and machine will be in the middle. To do that, you need to release the threads. If you're decorative stitching in the round, or you find yourself marooned in a part of the top where you can't get the work out, then it's because the threads are attached below in the foot plate. When you're in that chaining decorative stitch mode, these stitches here are filling up the gap between the foot and the foot plate. If you're sewing in the round, bring your needles towards you with the hand wheel, and then take one turn with the hand wheel going back, and it will release the threads. When you get back to the beginning, you want to join up your lines of stitching with your initial start. When you get back round to the beginning, you'll need a way now to release the threads again because it's been chaining. So the only way you can get this off is to scoot off the side, and you don't want your stitching to appear on the right side of the fabric. So roll your needles forward using the hand wheel until they're in the highest position. Lift the foot, then use a tool, tweezers, or I've got a small awl here, to bring those needle threads out of the machine. Snip them off. And then pull your fabric to 11 o'clock, to the back and to the side. And then you'll need to tie off the ends of your loopers because they're live at the moment, and if you pull on them, they will start to unravel. If you want to continue with that decorative stitching, you can add it to the neckband. In this case, it was the top stitching. I applied the neckband with a stretchy stitch on my sewing machine so I could control the neckband and not get any ripples or puckers. And then I put this through the cover stitch machine, so the 3 rows of top stitching were making that decorative edge, and it holds it down really flat and smooth, and it's really professional on the inside. To continue that decorative stitching throughout my Billy sweatshirt, I put some around the cuffs. In this instance, I put the decorative stitching on just the sleeve. I measured 1.5 centimetres for the seam allowance to attach the cuff, and I just set my cover stitch a little bit further back. Because I've got a thumb cuff on here, a very long deep cuff, then I would have struggled to get all of this under the cover stitch machine. So I added the detail first and then attached the cuff with a sewing machine and finished it with an overlocker. The decorative stitching continues to the hemband, so using the same technique, I added the row of decorative stitching and then the hemband. Here it would have been easier to get that under the cover stitch. I could have used that to top stitch and hold down the seam allowances behind, but in this instance you can see all the different rows of stitching. There's the decorative cover stitch, the stretchy zigzag I attached the hemband with, and the overlocked edge. I could have skipped the overlocking and held all of that seam allowance down with the top stitch cover stitch. The reason I did that was because I wanted to make sure that I was getting this in an even place. If I was sewing this like this to hold this down, I wouldn't see what was happening behind. So those are the decorative features on my Billy top. You don't have to just do decorative features on stretchy fabrics. You can also use them on wovens. If you want to make straps on the cover stitch machine, then you fold your fabric down, press in the ends, and then you might need to trim out the other half of your seam allowance because you want to make sure that your fabric isn't coming right over to here. You want it just to be running along the centre. You want the cover stitch to enclose the raw edge on the back, and you'll want your twin needle sewing on the right side. Give that a press because that will help you with your handling under the machine. I'm set up with twin needle cover stitch. I've chained off, and because I'm not working in the round, I'm going to start on the edge of the fabric. The reverse of the strap or belt loop is covered with the cover stitch, and you have your top stitching from the right side. You could obviously blend that in more with the colour of your fabric, but it was just easier for me to show you. If your ends aren't enclosed in the next seam, then you can take the thread chain inside the tube and trim it off. You can use this technique for all kinds of belt ties, belt loops, dress straps, bag straps, and if you want to, and you can use a 3 needle cover stitch, and you can have that on the right side if you want to. But even though I'm going to use it for some bows, you can see when you see through, it still looks really neat. You could have either the twin needle decorative side or the cover stitch decorative side. I've added mine to my Petal Pulse linen viscose shorts. It's from the Carolyn pyjamas pattern, but I'm going to wear it as outside shorts, and the bow just finishes off the side split detail. Doesn't matter that I can see the inside of the bow because it's all really neat. Other fun places to use decorative stitching on woven fabrics is if you're making jeans or working with denim. It would take such a long time to create 3 rows of accurate top stitching or to keep changing out for a triple needle. Here you can just sew. You get really nice details. You can also use the triple needle to create patterns on the backs of your pockets. Give yourself a little chalk guide. You can follow this to get really nice patch pocket details. This looks really professional. It's nice and flush on the back, so when you're putting your hand inside the pocket, this is all enclosed. You can also use the other side. This will give really nice effects too. So you can use your decorative stitching on patch pockets and denim wear, and it looks great on bags as well, especially if you've got something a little bit industrial, or you've got something like cargo trousers where you've got a real utility style. You can switch out here for different threads. Here's a fabulous example of a 3-thread cover stitch used as a decorative border on both a placket and as a corner on a hem. Let me show you how to do that hem finish. To sew corners, which can add a real nice decorative detail to side vents or side splits, then you're going to mark where you want to turn the fabric. So I'm going to turn it just here. I've got a 3 needle here, the last 2 were a 2 needle, and I'm going to start on the reverse because I want the decorative stitch to be on the top. I'm going to sew gently to the point that I want to turn. Then I'm going to turn the hand wheel towards me and then up into the highest position. I'm going to release the foot and really gently turn the work and lower the foot back down again. Get this really beautiful decorative edge, and it looks really fabulous on both stretch fabrics and woven fabrics. I will say it's slightly harder to make the back look absolutely accurate because you're turning those multiple needles, but it looks better with this as the decorative side. For those that like to ask, today I'm wearing a Billy sweatshirt from Tilly and the Buttons. It's the sweatshirt version. It's got a set-in sleeve rather than a raglan or a drop sleeve, so you get a slightly neater sort of silhouette of a sweatshirt. This print is called Motley Mosaic, and the base cloth is a fleece back recycled sweatshirt fabric. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. It's got a hemband, and I've added some stitching across here too. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed those few cover stitch detail tutorials. There's one on hemming, there's one on chain stitching, and the one today on decorative stitching. They'll all be on our Learn to Sew playlist over on Minerva's YouTube channel. You can subscribe there for free. You can enjoy all of our sewing content. There are sew-alongs, pattern drafting series, how to use your overlocker, a lingerie series, and lots of inspiration for new fabrics and new patterns that are out soon. We'd also love to see you over on our website, so you can make a free account there, share your makes, and add a few photographs and a little description of what you've been up to. It really does inspire our Minerva Maker community, and you can also get some great inspiration for yourself for your next project. Hopefully, we'll see you there soon.